back. This is Education Matters. I'm your talk show host, Mr. Kamambogwa, and I have with me Madam Kiogora and Mr. French Shadia. We are talking about volunteerism and displays in education with specific regard to SDG number 4. And now I will invite Madam Kiogora to address the issue of the education sector. What are the gaps that volunteerism can or maybe is serving?
Okay, so thank you for that question. So I'll highlight the gaps that exist in the education system currently as I tell you about how our volunteers are serving to bridge those gaps. So first of all, there's a shortage of teachers in Kenya. So currently we are missing about 70,000 teachers, and so this means that the teacher-student ratio is going up, as well as now classrooms, or rather classes are going unattended, which leads to poor grades in public schools. And so what we do is that now we train our volunteers and send them to these public primary schools now to act as teaching assistants.
So the gap in that particular case is teachers.
Yes,
one gap.
Teachers,
yes,
that's one gap. And so our volunteers will serve as teaching assistants, where they help out the teachers in marking, in tutoring, and now you'll find now the teachers who are there are now have more time now to focus on supporting learners.
So are these volunteers trained in teaching themselves, or need they be trained, or they are not?
So now the training, yes, they need to be trained, but training now to be teaching assistants, not to actually teach, but to support teachers. Yes, so we train them on being teaching assistants.
Which other gap other than the lack of teachers?
Yes, number two, there's so teachers in public primary schools are under pressure to deliver results in terms of now mean scores at the end of the term, and so you'll find they are focusing more on now classroom instead of extracurricular activities, which is now another gap that our volunteers are able to bridge in public primary schools.
They're talking about parents,
yes,
the parent development.
And supporting areas like sports and clubs, where now they help learners actually discover their talents.
How do you do that? How do you go about bringing those talents in, those kind of underserved students?
Yes, so now our volunteers will spend time now after classes with the kids, and what they'll do is now they'll give them opportunities now to opportunities that will bring out this talent. So whether it's in sports, they'll find out which kids are good in football. In clubs, of course, things like debate clubs. So they'll see which kids are actually good in presentation, and they'll help nurture that. And yes, and of course now support them in areas like even music festival. So identify which kids are actually good in drama and support that.
How much success have you had as an organization in that particular area?
In that particular area, quite a lot. We've had actually our volunteers supporting teams all the way to the national levels. We've had clubs like Environmental Club in Farasili Primary School, where even Chelsea Clinton, when she was here in Kenya, she actually visited that project.
With Madam Joanna Waka.
Yes, so she visited that project, and we are happy that we are actually part of such a club. And yes, also we've had kids do well in now football, things like basketball. So kids now get to learn that even if I'm not so good in class, there are other things that I'm
So you have identified two critical gaps that you guys are filling. The lack of teachers, the one of talent development, the third one.
The third one I'll say is now our volunteers actually assist in administrative support. That is now things like putting together mark lists and also providing performance analysis and giving performance reports for the kids.
So do you call that evaluation kind of management?
Yes, and evaluation. And so you see this actually frees out time now for kids, for teachers to be able to focus on kids who are maybe slow learners. And so as at the end of the term, you see improved marks, because now these kids have time with that individual attention with a teacher, and they are also accessing learning support from a teacher.
I want to look at this other side, Master Sandia. volunteerism and SDG number 4, lifelong learning, inclusive learning. May I comment?
Thank you, Madam. Maybe just to set a quick example of what I also think could be a gap as a general observation. The facilities within schools, learning. One day I was lucky to accompany a team from TICA. TICA is the Turkish agency that is involved in development. They invited me to join a group of their volunteers who came out of the country. And I went to a school within a neighborhood that I wouldn't imagine I would find that school in such kind of a status.
The deplorable status. And I hope it's not in the city.
In the city.
This kind of Nairobi city.
And I thought, sometimes on a lighter note, that would be found somewhere. So I think...
But it was a public school?
It was a public school. Within a well-to-do neighborhood. And I thought, I looked at it and I said, are these guys there? The gate next door looks to be a well-to-do home. And they should come in and just voluntarily and support that school. But also, again, the thing that I realized that most of the children in this school were not coming from this neighborhood. They were across, an informal settlement across. But anyway, that is where we are, and of course we appreciate that there are those organizations that are coming in to complement the government. We must appreciate that the government is also trying their best.
So now you are bringing the issue of resources as a gap.
It's a huge challenge. It's a gap that
the volunteerism can chip into that and lighten the road.
Definitely. But you asked me a specific question on
volunteerism and SDG number 4.
Addressing inclusive education, quality education. In my humble view, I think that when we have stakeholders who are willing to partner in already existing government infrastructure within the education sector, then we would be synergizing on efforts that would enable that we give what I would want to refer as quality time in focusing on matters education and to see how we can improve. I know of some of the VIO members that are doing so much in terms of inclusivity in specific VSO Kenya. They're very keen on inclusive education, especially with people, persons living with disability. And they're trying to bring this on board again, and I know they're working with the government to ensure that the policies or laws that will be around that area will be such that to facilitate giving a good opportunity so that education remains accessible for all of us, regardless of whichever situation we are in. But even broadly, I think that we can achieve it when we look at both the teacher, the student or the pupils,
and the community.
Yes. Especially the parents. You see, today I want to have my child in school almost every other day. What time do I have with my child? We will also teach. But the moment my child starts doing something that might not be acceptable in the society, I will first be pointing my finger at the teacher. The teacher also is a parent maybe, or is a brother or a sister, who also needs to take care of someone else.
True.
So in looking at it all, it needs to be a complete circle. The government, the community, the student, and the teacher.
Good. I'm coming back to you, Madam Kiogora, as Spacer. Give us yet another gap that you are seeing, very pronounced gap, which you think volunteerism is serving very well and can serve maybe.
So apart from resource mobilization, there's also, yes, I'll mention resource mobilization because this is an area that our volunteers have actually done really well at, where we send them to the schools and we ask them to identify needs in those schools and find solutions. So exposing them to global issues and actually allowing them to come up with local solutions for those. So we've had volunteers who have gone into schools and found out, oh, they don't have a library, and they've fundraised to get the school a library, or even learning materials like books and pens. So we've had volunteers actually coming up with book drives to get these schools needs. And so I think that's an area that is actually very broad because resource mobilization can be in terms of even getting a school a new building, getting desks, things like feeding programs. And so, in that gap, I think.
Would you take time to address the issue of the digital skills? digital skills, life skills. What are you doing around that?
So what we are doing around that is actually we have our volunteers do mentorship in public primary schools that we work with. So mentorship just to be able to take kids through things like, they form girls clubs or boys clubs, and they advise kids on different issues that affect them. Also in digital learning, we have our volunteers support what the school already has, whether they maybe if they already have laptops or even the digital learning system. We have our volunteers support those classes, and we've also have had our alumni who have come in and started projects such as a coding camp, just to teach kids now how to code and
Tell me more about that. I'm keen about coding. What have you done? Where have you done that? How successful has it been?
So this is actually a project that was done by an alumni of ours. She's called Nora Borus. She went to Stanford University. And so during her summer break, she decided, or rather she got some funds and decided now I've had a privilege to go and, get this knowledge. How about I impact that to now other young people? And so she put together a 9 weeks camp that was aimed at now teaching coding skills,
programming, computer programming.
And just other basic ICT skills that were lacking in. That was quite a success.
When was that? You did that one?
That was back in 2015. Yes, and so this is something that we are really proud that young people can identify such gaps.
When are you doing the next coding camp?
The next coding?
Yeah.
It should be soon. Because now more and more young people are coming out to identify things they can do in the community. That is an area that is free to now. That they are free to venture in, and I'm sure.
Before we take a break on this one, I would like to hear your footprint as far as pacemakers are concerned. Which counties have you been able to reach so far?
So far we've been in Nairobi County, Kajiado, Kiambu, Baringo, and we are looking into going to Kisumu next year. Yes, so those are 4.
I thought you were in the 47 counties.
We actually have the authorization to do that.
You have the authority to touch every school in all the 47 counties?
Yes, the Ministry of Education actually liked our program after we gave a report of what we do, and they decided to give us that authorization. So we are going into the 47 counties very soon.
Wow. Now, it then means that volunteership can do something around SDG number 4.
It can.
On that account, viewer, we are taking a short commercial break. When we come back, we will look at the future of volunteerism. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Watch and learn.